If you really look at everybody who goes to like get Grammys and things, like they're all in this little circle, and I've noticed that. I don't know what AI is actually doing in the music community right now. I'm gonna say I used to be really big on looking at numbers. No, I don't care. I don't care about numbers.
Welcome to the Made in the Studio podcast, where we spotlight the creatives behind some of your favorite songs. I'm your host, Desmond A, and today we have a special guest. Today's guest has worked with popular recording artists such as YTB Fat, Hurricane Chris, SpotemGottem, Lil Poppa, and much, much more. It's with great pleasure that I introduce to the podcast MixedByEl.
Yo, yo, yo. How you going on, guys? Coolin', man. I appreciate you inviting me over here.
Getting a little bit into your story, how did you get into music initially? And then how did you get into audio engineering more specifically?
Well, I used to be a rapper back in like 2010, but I got real serious in 2015, and then I did it for like a good 3, 4 years, and then I ended up taking engineering pretty much seriously around like 2019 till now. But yeah, I was a serious artist at that time, 2015, honestly, to like 2019, but yeah, I kind of lost the passion for being the artist, and I was like, I kind of like mixing my own music because I was mixing my own music as well. So I was like, let me just try to do it for other people that record from home. So that's how I kind of got into engineering. And it was around COVID time when I even got into like thinking. I came in the game thinking I wanted to be an online engineer.
Okay, so coming from a recording artist background, you spent some time in the studio, you've seen some of the equipment. So do you feel like they gave you any type of advantage when you transitioned over into audio engineering?
No, I think I have an ear for like how a song is supposed to sound. I think I do have that regardless if it was my music or someone else's music, but no, I don't think I had like a upper edge. I think I had connections that helped me a lot. Like I knew DJs, I knew promoters, and then I already were acquainted to like artists like Spin and Bins and Julio. I kind of knew them already personally because again, I was a serious artist at the time, so I kind of built relationships around that. So that's how I kind of got the situations that I did get because I used to be an artist. That's the most I could say it did help me in that situation.
So yeah, so that to me that kind of gets into like the power of networking and audio engineering not just being about the technical side, but also the human and the people side and the community side. Now, I first got into you, man, is I saw you posting content on Instagram, and I was just like, I would see a lot of beat makers do content, but as far as audio engineers, I was like, this is kind of different, especially the way that you did it. So what prompted you to initially start making that audio engineering content?
So that's funny that I'm very happy that you even kinda compared it to that. So I was, like, watching, like, Producer Grind, I was watching Durkee, I was watching a lot of other producers, I think Lollipop, I think she's one of them. I was watching a lot of producers, and they all kinda had the same method, right? Like, the whole, like the way they did their videos was kinda the same. So I was like, "No one in the engineering game is doing this." So I did take a lot from that community. Like, when it came to producing content, I was like, let me do it, but let me do it for engineers. And Producer Grind, before they switched over to like the new people who own Producer Grind, they had a really good method of how they did like content. And I kind of like mimicked that to the T. When it came to my podcast, I got that from like Producer Grind. Tutorials and stuff like that, I really got that from like Durkee, Lollipop, and like that whole community of producers. I didn't really wanna, like, mimic anybody that was already in the engineering community, like, we would say, like, Help Me Devon or, like, Wavy Wayne, so I wanted to be completely different from that. I did get my preset kits ideas from producers selling drum kits, so I kinda just switched it. I kinda, like, learned the game from the producer community, and then I took it for engineers, so I did do that, yeah.
Yeah, I've came across different engineers in person, and I would see like their little presets inside of like Pro Tools, but you took the initiative to actually start, putting them out there and selling them. So that's what's up, man.
Mhm.
So with creating the content that you create, how would you say that it's changed your life? Has it changed your life in what ways?
I always tell people I was always booked up from day one, just by running ads. So I don't think content really changed the aspect of getting booked more. I do think, the most that I will say I got from content is a lot of brand deals and a lot of relationships with brands. Like I do know a lot of people who create a lot of this equipment and stuff like that. So I will say I did give me more relationships, but when it comes to like bookings and stuff, I was always kind of booked. Very consistently. So I always tell people, like, you don't need to do content to be booked in doing this full time, because 'cause I've been doing this full time since 2019, and I didn't start doing content till, like, 2021.
You know, in the content creation space, there are the different companies that reach out and, we want you to try this and whatnot. I'm finally starting to get a couple of those. So, how do you decide which brands to accept and to work with and which ones to say, nah, I'll pass on that one?
If I want the product or if I see potential in the product, it just really depends on the conversation as well, of like how the brand is kinda reaching out to me. Because if I'm not really interested in the product or I say I don't like it when I do receive it, I'll tell them I won't do any content on it. Because if you see I don't really bash any product out there, I'm more of like, I'll make content on it if I like it and I wanna show it to other, people that, I guess I would say they do trust my word. So I have to make sure I like it first before I really wanna show it to people, so
Now, with getting into the online mixing and mastering space, at what point did you realize that this could actually make real money as opposed to just like side money?
so when I was an artist, I was working like a 9 to 5 for, to fund being an artist and trying to, like, do what I was doing there. Um, I remember I just got fired from, like, my last, like, call center job or something like that, and I was roommating with a videographer. He was an entrepreneur since, like, 2012, 2011, and then, I was telling him, I was like, "Man, I kinda, like, have this idea," and it was around COVID time. I always wanna bring that up, and I was like, "I'd just be online mixing engineer because I know people record from home." We kinda, like, came up with a game plan of, like, running ads and just trying to see if we could target people that record from home and stuff like that, so he did help me a lot. Shout out to Greg Bell because he helped me a lot with trying to figure out how to start this, like, whole online mixing business type of thing. So I did that, and I would say the very first month that I took it serious, I made way more money than I did at the 9 to 5. And I was charging like $25 a mix. So I was getting like 10 bookings a day from from sun up to sundown. Like, it was just like it was crazy. So I will say the very first month that I actually took it serious, I made way more than I made at my 9 to 5. And I mean any 9 to 5 that I had to. So it was like, okay, let me just do this. And then, at first I used to be a logo. Like, I never showed my face for like the first 2 years. And then when I started doing content, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this serious because now I'm kind of like exposing who I am. So that's how that kind of came about. So the first month of doing it seriously, I would say, oh, it's money in this for real.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Whenever I see your content, it seems like you have like a whole lot of work to do, and it seems like there's not really any stopping point. So, how do you manage your time between having all these bookings? Like, how do you prioritize, and how exactly do you do that?
That's a really good question because I don't know how I do it, honestly, especially because I like in the past following couple months, I've been starting to take health a lot more seriously. So like I do like a whole the way I eat is different, the way things I gotta cook and just stuff like that. So it's like now trying to putting health into a very busy schedule is kind of crazy. So I just kind of pick my days on like what days that I want to just straight record content, what days that I want to send like my videos off to my videographer to get him to start trying to edit a certain video for a brand or just whatever idea that I have. And when it comes to, like, bookings, I do separate my revisions and mixes because revisions, I don't get too creative with revisions, so I give that a whole different day, and then my bookings is like, okay, I can kinda get creative and do what I love to do, which is mixing, so, um, I really just pick the days. I pick my battles in that day, but I will say since I started focusing on health, it's kinda been making my schedule a lot more difficult.
Have you ever thought about like having other engineers with you, like a co-mixer to kind of help you offload some of that stuff?
Yeah, so I'm this year, I'm planning on, like, opening up a studio, and then I do wanna get, like, 2 engineers. So I want, like, 3 rooms. I want an A room, B room, C room. This is just, like, what I'm planning and what I visioned in my head, and then I wanna fill up those 2 rooms, and then, of course, I'll be A room, and, those will be my engineers. But I do want a studio first. Like, I feel like if I did that, that would be more of a realistic idea in a sense, so
Gotcha. And do you plan on having that studio out there in Florida or?
in Jacksonville, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Do you feel like large recording studios are still needed in the music game, or do you feel like the mid-size and home recording studios are good enough? Like, how exactly do you perceive the different tiers of studios these
Home
days?
studios are great. I think home studio, like, especially if you just dedicate like one room, like right now I'm in the home studio. Like, this is my home studio. I don't have like a building or anything like that. So if you dedicate one room, which is just say a small room, and you just have a good enough interface, which I say if you spend like 1,000, you're gonna get a good interface. You spend another 1,000 on a microphone, you're gonna get a really good microphone. You can really probably get in the game with like $3,000, like realistically, and then send it to an engineer that you can trust with mixing and mastering, and you can get it done. You don't need a crazy space unless if you just think you get creative that way, but most artists are gonna write before they get into the studio anyways. So you just have a home studio, dedicate a room, treat it up, you good.
Now, what are a couple of the errors or issues that you hear in the recordings of some of the artists that you work with that you wish you could tell them, "Hey, stop doing this." Is it the environment? Is it the recording too high? What exactly
Recording
is
too high. That's
high?
the main. Recording too high is just distortion. Distortion. So sometimes I'll run it through my gear to take away the distortion. Because a hybrid mix. So what I'll do is I'll run it through like a compressor and it'll kind of like even out the distortion. And now sometimes that would like help whatever kind of bad recording that I got.
How do you deal with kind of like demanding clients or upset clients who kind of keep pestering you for revisions and things like that, especially since you're somewhat of a one-man team, but the main mixer? How do you deal with those types?
I take it day by day, I'll say. Sometimes if like someone is a little too difficult, like I just did this like probably like a month ago. An artist was like very, very, very picky and it just wasn't my style of like communication. And I just told him just after this song, just find another engineer because I don't want to do any more work with this person. So they understood and they just, they said it sucked because they did like the mix. It was just that for me, it was just too much. So yeah, I just told them to find another engineer.
Yeah, I feel that. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
gotta do that, man.
Mhm.
So, do you currently suggest audio school for new engineers, or do you feel like they can kind of learn by doing?
I think Way made me look at it a little bit differently of like what you can get out of like school or full sales. So I'm not gonna just straight like this schooling. I do think schooling is beneficial, but I am self-taught and I do think I came a long way from that. But again, I did have connections and probably things that made me hit accolades a little bit quicker than other people, but just by networking and knowing how to network. So I think school can be beneficial in another networking way because I think a lot of people do build relationships in like full sale and things like that as well. So if I was to go to school today, I would go in there to network. Of course, try to learn whatever they're teaching, but I would go in there to try to network with the important people that goes to full sale.
So, what's one thing that engineers from audio school have that you've seen like self-taught engineers not have? Is there any type of little things there that you can kind of tell?
Connections.
Yeah.
If you really look at everybody who goes to like get Grammys and things like they're all in this little circle, and I've noticed that. It's kind of like we can all say like I'm friends with Wavy Wayne, I'm friends with Helmy Devon, we're all YouTubers, I'm friends with Sky Jordan. We're in this little community or circle. So I feel like people that went to school, they're in a circle and they're doing such and such, and they're always getting like I always see the same people master the same songs. Like I always see the same mixer. I always see the same like I peep stuff like that. And I will say that, yeah, if you go into school, I think you're gonna get connections and you guys go up to the top together pretty much. So which is great. Which is great. So
Absolutely. It's better to move as a team, man.
yes, yes, yes.
Definitely go far. So, have you done any remote sessions with recording artists as of yet? Like the streaming in and the recording Pro Tools, anything like that?
No, 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 no. So a lot of my clients do kind of ask for that, and if I was to do something like that, I'd probably charge double, and I don't know if people would pay that. So, I guess I need to put it as an option because people do ask, but I don't think people would really want to pay double just to watch me mix a song. And that's just because I think I work. This is why I started online mixing. I think I work a lot better alone, just in my element and things like that. Like when I go live, I think I'm ready to talk to people and answer a whole bunch of questions. But 9 times out of 10, I just want to lock in and send me the revisions once you get the mix.
So, how do you feel about recording artists in the Jacksonville area who want to like pull up on you and watch you mix their song? Do you just that like a no-no, or do you
It used to be a no-no. And then I started realizing that I have like some of the best gear in the city, I would say. So I was like, you know what, I can't just have it here and I'm only just hybrid mixing with it. So yeah, I started taking recording sessions and stuff like that. So they'll book a recording session and sometimes yes, they do come in here just to watch me mix it, which is it's fine. I don't think I really blame that. But remotely, yeah. Yeah. And to record with me, it's like 225 for like 2 hours. So I am a bit expensive to be in Jacksonville, Florida. So again, if they are doing to come into the studio to watch me mix, then I don't really care. Cause yeah.
I noticed that you are primarily a mixer. What's been your experience with, recording artists? Is that something you wish you had more time doing? Is it something you just kind of so on it? Like, what exactly are your thoughts on recording the actual artist?
So I would always personally wanna avoid recording artists. So, like, again, when my vision when I open a studio, I want an A room, B room, and C room. B and C would be recording, and then if, say, an artist wants a mix by me, the people in B and C can send me the mix, and I'll still just be mixing in the A room pretty much. And then, of course, yeah, people wanna book me to record, I'll accept it, but my overall goal is no, not to record. I wanna stay out of that.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Recording the same take over and over again. Open that playlist in Pro Tools, man.
I stay out of that.
What are some of your thoughts around AI and how you see it changing audio engineering within the next few years?
Use it. Use AI. Just, use it for like creative freedom. I don't know what AI is actually doing in the music community right now. I think it does just give ideas and things. I think we can kind of tell right now what is AI and what's not. So until I guess it gets a little scary and it's like, okay, this mix is a little too like, all right, okay, now we got to figure something out here. So I don't know. I think we just need to use it to our advantage because I know graphic designers that use AI and they use it to their advantage just to like make things blend and all of that good stuff. So use it. Use it. Don't avoid it.
What's one common trait that you see amongst artists, producers, and engineers that if you see this trait, you know this person is going to stick around. And if you don't see this trait, you're like, okay, this person's going to be here today, gone tomorrow. I'm never going to hear them again.
Consistency. Once you find something that works, you just keep doing it 100 times. And I think once I can figure someone and figure that out, then you're on the road to something big pretty much. So I always say just consistency. Once you see something work better than the other, like with your ideas and stuff like that, just do it 100 more times. Just figure out how to do it different ways. That makes sense.
What's one thing that if you hear this in an engineer's mix, you know that this is a new engineer and there's something that they need to fix. So is there like a telltale sign that you're like, oh, this is a new engineer and that's something that they need to correct?
Thin, just very thin. Like it could be the I don't know if it's just the overall song that's super thin or the vocal that's super thin. Like everything's cut from like 500, just cut. So I don't know, just thin. I'll say you could tell when something's just super thin and it's super bright because they're trying to get the brightness and then it's super thin. So I'll say that.
It's interesting you said that. I had an interview with another engineer. You two had the exact same answers.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to up and coming engineers who want to actually start the content creation process? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say the same thing I said on the last question, probably just, stay consistent. Once you find something that works, you just do it 100 more times, and trust me, it's gonna be a snowball effect, and you're gonna be able to kinda master the algorithm because the algorithm you have to learn the algorithm too, that's one thing. So once you learn keywords in your audience, I think your audience is another big part of everything as well, and definitely build a community, build a community with people who can talk, like, in your comment section, and everybody's just kinda like, having a conversation about certain things, and that's my biggest thing. I never made content about me. I've always made content about, like, the subject, like, that was always my key too, like, I wasn't the main character. I always wanted to talk about something, like, with other people. So I think that's how I kinda built a pretty dope community as well, just by not making it about me. So I think that's a pretty dope answer, yeah.
And with your community, like what are some ways that you go about keeping them engaged and keeping them interacting with each other, interacting with you, and keeping it growing and active? What are some of those key things that you do?
I think it's like, what do I wanna watch? Like, what do I wanna see? Like, I get bored pretty, like, quick, so it's like, I know sometimes, "Hey, I need to go do some funny stuff," like, so let me just figure out some stuff I can do some funny. Okay, let's talk about real serious things like the podcast, and now let's learn something. So I think, I just like, what do I wanna watch as an engineer? So I make what I wanna watch. So just think about, like, okay, you sit back, what would I scroll through as an engineer and actually watch type of deal? So, yeah, like, just think about you and what you wanna watch, yeah.
Yeah, and I've noticed, man, you've came up with some pretty funny skits, man. So
Appreciate that,
yeah,
appreciate that.
some of them go pretty viral too. I always make sure
Mhm.
to engage in that too.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
you're welcome, man. What's one of the biggest myths about making it in the music game that beginners still believe?
We got a big check at the end, especially if you're an engineer or producer. That's gonna wait. You're gonna wait. I think if you go viral, you have to go viral like about 6, 7 times to even figure out that it's still like it's a very slow motion game. No matter what accolade you do, it's very slow motion. Like you have to keep doing it a lot. Like if you get a plaque, you need like 3 more to kind of like just I don't know, stay it's just like I don't know, it's like staying consistent just with anything. So it's like if you get one, just okay, I need 5 more. Like that needs to be the hunger that you have. Like if you think you made it, like you didn't make it. Like you got so much more work to do. That's just the first step into getting into the music industry, I would say, because I've been in rooms with big people all the time, but it's like that's just that one moment. You got to make sure you're doing it consistently and consistently. And then when I realized that wasn't kind of like my idea of making it, that's what I was like, okay, I want to do content because I think I'd rather teach people than actually be in the studio and yeah, deal with all that stuff. So yeah, what I would say is just about like you got to just know what you think you want at the end and what message you're getting.
Okay, so yeah, I'm definitely hearing like nonstop growth and not getting comfortable, just always
Comfortable. There you
yeah,
go. Not getting comfortable. That's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, push it to the limit, guys. Don't just hang out, feel
Just
like
don't take that one win. Don't take that one win, like, you gotta go for, like, multiple wins.
exactly, exactly. What's one dream artist that you want to work with, engineer for, produce for? Do you have that one artist who you're like, man, I really want to work with this person?
It would probably be Drake.
And do you have a top 5 plugins right now?
Top 5 plugins right now. I've been using, DMG Limiter. I think it's, like, D Limitless. It's Limitless, DMG Limitless. I've been using that, like, on my masters lately. I'm definitely still using the Pro Q3 all the time. I'm using the SSL channel by Waves. Oh, I think it's the E channel all the time. So I've been using the CL1B. I think it's like 2 Tech CL1B, the version 2. They got they got like the first Mark 2. So they got like the first one, then they got Mark 2. And for an effect, I'm still a Valhalla vintage verb for reverb. So
It's a classic, man.
yeah, I can't really get rid of it, bro. Like I try, and I was like, I'm gonna go find something else. Then I'm just like, no, I just go back to vintage verb. So
Perfect. Good choices, man. So, piggybacking off of that, do you have like top 3 mics that you like to use?
yeah, definitely. Not in any order, but I'm gonna go Stam Audio SA 800G. So it's the clone of the Sony 800. Yeah, love that microphone. Then we're gonna go to Lawton Audio Atlantis because I have that as well, and I love that microphone. I guess I gotta go Telefucking 251, and that's just because I do use it sometimes at my mentor's studio. That's like my dream mic right there. So if I had a dream mic, it would be that one. So
Okay, great choices, great choices. And you mentioned your mentor, and I've seen some of your content with him. I believe his name is Paul.
yeah.
When you okay, and like, what are some of the lessons that you've learned from Paul? Maybe not the technical side, but more of the I guess philosophical side, people side, things like that. What are some of the lessons he's given you?
Oh, that's a really good question. Oh, Paul doesn't really talk that like Paul. You gotta really open up to him sometimes. So it's like he didn't really talk that much. He was always straight business because like that was my engineer. Like when I was like got artists and stuff, like that was who I was sending my music to get mixed. And sometimes barely I would go in the studio and actually record with him. But every time it was always just very professional and very just like, what do you want? Like what do you need? Like so he was very I think I got that from him and just even when I came up with the content idea, he was the first person I approached like, hey, you want to do content with me? Like cause I really appreciated what he did because like he gave me like a different life because I was like not working a 9 to 5 anymore. And he taught me this skill that like I could take, on forever now type of deal. So it was a really open book when I approached him and asked him like, hey, I want to like learn like this. So I just would book studio time with him and then he would like show me his vocal chains and how he routed things here and there and all the little nerdy stuff. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, man, that's a great way to learn. That's something that I've done before, especially in the past. And that's something I tell people now. Sometimes they try to learn all over the place, but then if you can at least get a couple hours with somebody who you like, just have them walk you through the thing, so you can kind of not develop bad habits that can take you through your career.
Hmm. I totally agree. Totally agree.
Do you feel like engineers still need to move to larger cities to make it, or do you feel like the remote kind of thing is still viable?
Yeah, I think social media it can take you far. So I would say other than maybe if you want to be a recording engineer, that's a different story. It is really what your goal is. If you want to be a mixing or mastering engineer, you can be anywhere. But if your goal is to be in the studio with certain people, then yeah, go to LA, go to New York, go to Atlanta. You know where to go for that type of stuff. So it's really what is your goal as an engineer?
What's something that you know about engineering now that you wish you knew when you first started? If you can go back to that younger version of yourself, what would you tell him about engineering?
Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. I so went back to being like simple again. Like I do weird routings. Like I do like a summing mixer trick that I learned from Help Me Devon. I do some extra stuff, but that's just because I'm a little extra. But keep it simple. Like some people ask me like, why do I use so many plugins? Because I'm barely nudging them sometimes. I'm just getting a little flavor. I'm moving on to the next thing. So also just keep it as simple as possible and don't overdo it.
Is there one thing about the audio engineering process that you like the most? Is it editing the vocals? Is it getting the drums and bass right? Is there one part of the process that you really, really like to do?
The aftermath. Like I love the A and B. Like turning everything off, turning everything on, like hearing like what they gave me to what I turned it into. So it's like it's refreshing when I just hear like, okay, I smashed that last mix or a rough mix or whatever they got going on over there. So personally though, yeah, I think when I'm getting to the mixing stage though, yeah, I love the vocal effects, like going into like blending the reverbs with the delay. That's probably my favorite part of it all. But at the end of it all, I'm like, oh, I'm always A and B just to like, oh yeah, like I did my thing on this mix. So
Absolutely. That's always a great feeling. Like, man, you sent me this, I sent you this. I don't want to hear nothing, go on
Mhm.
fire.
Facts.
So, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in the music game?
That's a really good question. So yeah, like I said, my main goal right now is getting a building, and once I get the building, I have about 2 engineers up under me, and of course, my A room is going to be my content room. Still, I still see myself doing content. I don't see myself stopping doing content anytime soon. I don't know. I don't really chase like credits or anything like that. So I think I just let that come to me. Like I just worked with DJ Sam Sneak like probably about a month ago. That's Rick Ross's engineer. I just worked with him, and that's just him reaching out, just like, hey, I want to work with you type of deal. So I think opportunities would just fall in my lap the more that I work and just show my work. I think people will gravitate. So yeah, I just see myself getting my own studio, having, like you said, other engineers kind of up under me and building a little empire that, I started, I created.
I saw your video that you made about making 100,000 as an audio engineer. So, starting today, let's say you had zero connections and you wanted to become an audio engineer who worked full time remotely. What would be some of the things that you do to get that book of business, to be consistent? Like, how would you start the process all over again in 2026?
I'd probably do it the same way I would build a professional website. Then of course do all your social medias, your Facebook, your Instagram, I guess TikTok, things like that. And then basically show. I'm not gonna tell you how to show it, but just show your work somehow, quick and easy, because people attention span is very bad right now. So just quick and easy. Figure out how to show them, hey, I can do this. Book me now type of deal. And run ads. I still believe in running ads. Like to this day, I still run ads. Like I run ads every day. I don't care how big I am. I'll run ad every day because that's just potential people. And I've always done that since day one. So for 6 years, Instagram and Facebook has been getting my money for ads. So I'm pretty sure they're getting rich off me. I will say what I used to do too as well, I think will still work is if you like reach out to people like on Instagram, like rappers and stuff like that. Like you just go look at blogs and stuff, see who's paying to get on these blogs because I mean, hey, they got a budget to do something with their music. Reach out to them. Definitely give them like 2 mixes. Give them like 2 free mixes. Just reach out to him. Try to build that connection. And then once he realizes, dang, my songs suck without this guy's mixes, he's gonna be like, okay, how much do you actually charge now? Because I already gave you 2 free ones. So it's like, okay, now, hey, I'll only give you this type of deal. Da, da, da. And I did build a lot of connections doing that as well. Like just showing people like, hey, like. But now people, when you reach out to me, it's like, okay, no, that's already exit because you're asking for me for work. But yeah, I used to reach out to people and be like, "Hey, I do a couple mixes for free," and I think to this day that will still work.
All right, definitely. That sounds like a really good game plan. And you mentioned those ads, man. Guys, you don't have to run a whole bunch of like spend a whole bunch daily. You can even start with a small budget and just let it run consistently. So for all the
Facts.
listeners out there, try not to turn off the ads. Try to, even if your budget is tight, squeeze it.
Mhm.
And then, you can expand it whenever you need to.
Facts.
El, I see back there you got the hardware and things going, flashing and stuff like that, man. I remember watching your content and you was like almost all like pretty much totally in the box with the plugins and things like that. How are you feeling about the sound of straight software and hardware? Like how big of a difference does it really make for all the engineers out there?
That's a really good question. So, I definitely think you could do it without hardware. I'm gonna say that, especially with me using hardware like that. But recording wise, no. I think you for recording. definitely get hardware because I feel like that is what makes the mixing job so much easier and just so much better because it's not like you just have really top quality recordings. But when it comes to like hybrid mixing, I do it because I have it and I can do it, so I'm gonna do it type of deal. And it does sound better. Hardware does sound better. I will say that, but you will, when it comes to revisions, depending on how you hybrid mixing. But say you're not printing and you're not doing it that way, you got to come back, fix the settings, and revisions can be a pain when you're using hardware for hybrid mixing. Sometimes the left and right isn't always perfect. Like plugins, they always are like perfect. So like that's one thing you gotta check your chords. You're gonna have to do maintenance. Like it's a lot of loops that I ran into when I took hybrid mixing seriously. Like right now, I'm about to get a summy mixer soon. So I'm not gonna be doing the digital summy mixer trick at home at least, but I'm gonna keep it in my template. So in the future, I could still use my digital summy mixing trick. But I'm gonna actually get one now, hardware, and I gotta see like can I achieve the same sound now when I leave the studio? So I will say hardware does sound better, but you will run through a couple loops. Like especially but I still feel like I'm still learning something every day about how to make it sound better because like everything just matters. So
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. The thing with those hardware units, man, it's like I've done some recording and I've had artists really attack the mic, really like be passionate, and I could just hear hitting the hardware, and it's just like it sounds so rich. It feels so rich. It's
yes.
like I feel like I didn't even really need to do much mixing, just like balance things a little bit.
Hardware for recording, yeah, get all of it. You know what I'm saying? When you come to mixing, if you got good recordings, you don't really need all the hardware now.
I've seen you primarily work in Pro Tools, and as you know, there's always the little battles online between the different DAWs. So, do you still feel like Pro Tools is the main DAW that's needed amongst audio engineers, or do you feel like people can use Studio One, FL Studio? How do you feel?
That's another good question, right? Because honestly, I don't really see Pro Tools going anywhere. I think, every time I work with a bigger artist, it is a Pro Tools session. I'm never getting an FL Studio session. I'm never getting but maybe from the producer, which is expected. I think producers have more of a freedom to just choose any DAW they want. But I think if you're like becoming a recording engineer, think it's pretty standard to just have Pro Tools, even mixing and mastering engineer. But mastering, I think it's Wavelab. So that's even another conversation right there. But like for mixing and recording, I definitely think Pro Tools is where it's at, yeah. And I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, me neither. I see a lot of the comments and things like that, and I'm like, if you go to a major studio, what's gonna be in the A room? What's gonna be in the B room? When we're sharing sessions, what is it gonna be?
Mhm.
So we never know what it might be in the future, but as of right now, man, all I see is Pro Tools. Speaking of that, would you recommend like maybe a younger engineer who's contemplating, working at a studio, recording artists on their own? Would you still recommend that they use Pro Tools?
Definitely start with Pro Tools. Start with the hardest DAW because it is the hardest DAW. That's probably people who kind of like avoid it sometimes and stuff like that. It's one of the ones that's like, okay, it's a little confusing, but definitely just start with that. But if you're a producer, like, no, I think Ableton, FL Studio. I'm trying to learn Ableton now. I don't really have enough time to play with Ableton, but I was trying to because I want to use it for like producing. I want to see the difference between FL Studio and Ableton. So I like Ableton how it's set up. So
And I've seen some of your content of you like making beats and things like that. How have you enjoyed that process of like beat making outside of, audio engineering? How do you feel about that craft in itself?
I would say different opportunities as well. Like I just got a placement with Boosie on his newest album. I think it's like Goat Talk 4. And that was very random. Like that was just like because I was like, wow, like I don't make like I think I made that beat in like 2024. Like at the end of 2024, and it got placed in 2026. So it's like I think I probably only made like 100 beats and sent it out and collabed with different producers and did whatever like that. That I got tired of it. Like mixing is my passion. Like I don't like producing either. I don't. But I think producing gave me the same feeling that like being a rapper did, and then I got kind of tired of it kind of quickly. But mixing, I don't know, I'm just so into it, so I stuck to with mixing. I was like, okay, let me ditch that and focus more on content. So I focused more on content and did on mixing. So that's why I don't really produce anymore at all.
Wow, man. Because I heard some of your stuff, some of your beats, man. They were fire. I was
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I feel like I still have a lot to learn with that, but appreciate that.
What projects do you have coming up that the people should be on the lookout for?
I don't really have projects, but for preset kits, I'm just working on a whole bunch of waves, plugins. A lot of people asking me about UAD plugins. So I'm gonna probably do do the UADXs because I feel like it's more compatible with like people because they probably won't have the UAD plugin. And yeah, I would just say I'm just really focusing on like making more preset kits, and it just helps me out so much more just being able to go to a random plugin. I got my preset kit that I know I created, and everything that I create, I feel like I can use in some certain way. So yeah, I don't really have any projects though. I don't like working with like any artists or anything like that. Nothing major other than Sam Sneak. I don't think he dropped the song that I did for him yet. So I don't know if that's gonna be getting played in a club, like heavy club rotation. I don't really know the goal on that one.
Gotcha, gotcha. Where can the people reach you online?
Mixed by L. I think the only thing that's different is my TikTok, which is mixed by L underscore, and that's it. Yeah, I'm mixed by L. You could just Google me. You'll find all the social media.
Perfect, perfect. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be having the links to all of Mixed by L stuff in the description. So make sure you check it out, purchase his stuff, follow him, support him in any way you see fit, man. This guy's drops a lot of game. You know, it is a matter of fact, man, there was a period of time where I wasn't really making music and I would watch your stuff. I would just be on my cell phone watching you mix. And I was like, man, I remember when I was in the studios and you being like using the SSL EQ. And I was like, oh, I remember how that sounded, man. So you really helped to motivate me, get out my slump and, get back in the game, man. I
Appreciate
really
that, bro.
appreciate you, man.
No, definitely appreciate that, my guy. Definitely keep going, bro. I like what you're doing. That's why I came on your channel. I was like, let me go ahead and just talk to bro. You feel me? Because I like what you're doing. You look like you're doing it consistently, and that's what I support. You're doing it consistently. You're not just doing it one time and then you're done. So
I appreciate that, man. I definitely
for
appreciate it,
sure.
man. What are some parting words of motivation that you want to leave for the audio community?
Fall in love with it. Fall in love with it. Don't ever do something that you don't want to do when it comes to you wanting to lock in a client, or you just wanted to do content that you don't want to do. Like, you don't have to do the content, or you do want to do the content, do it, but just love what you do at the end of the day. Like, you're on a project, make sure you enjoy doing it and it doesn't feel like you're working a 9 to 5 somewhere that someone just hired you for something. So just love what you do and love the process, because it is going to be a slow process as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. And one more thing, I just thought of this question. Like, how do you handle like the low points in this whole content, music, servicing the people game? How do you handle low points and how do you push through to get to the next level?
So for content, I'm gonna say I used to be really big on looking at numbers. No, I don't care. I don't care about numbers. I'm very just post it, let it do what it do. Sometimes I wake up and be like, oh, this one did 20K. I didn't know this one did that. So don't look at the numbers. Just, you'll know once you find something that works. Keep doing that 100 times. I just want to preach that up 3 times on this podcast. Like, just do it 100 times. When it works, do it 100 times. Low points with clients, man, not to my own horn, but I'm always booked. So that's one thing I will say. I don't even have to do content. I would say now, and I could still consistently be booked. So, but when it comes to content, looking at my YouTube numbers and looking at things like that, I just honestly just stop caring. I think that's why people can kind of resonate with my content as well, because I don't really try too hard to be like, oh, like clickbait or like watch my video. It's like, hey, like I'm mixing a song today, come through. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, this is the next best thing. Like, you need this right now. Like, that's not the person I am. So I think when I was starting to be true to myself and like showing who I really was, like on my YouTube channel, is when I started really growing the most, I would say.
Great advice, great game, great information. Mixed by L. I want to thank you so much for joining the Made in the Studio podcast. Thank you for being a major inspiration and motivator in the music engineering and production space. So thank you so much for your time.
For sure, my guy. Hold it down.